Hello students, welcome to Vijetha IAS Academy. This is Murali Shaula, your faculty for history. Right, so in this video lecture, we will discuss about a rather interesting topic called socialism. So which is a word which is you're very familiar with. So obviously throughout the history we have encountered with various terminologies like capitalism, socialism, Marxism, but obviously you need to know how they have evolved and what they actually meant. Okay, so in this lecture we'll discuss that is what is socialism and how it have evolved and who proposed it for the first time and what are the evolution of socialism from right from the beginning of 17th century to 20th century, right? See, so what is socialism? What's the definition of socialism? See, basically it is a theory which can be defined as it is a social, economic and political doctrine calls for public ownership. So it is nothing economic and political doctrine that calls for public ownership. So public ownership of what? Public ownership of means of production, natural resources, and as well as management of economy. Okay, basic definition of socialism is it is a social, economic and political doctrine that calls for public ownership. So public ownership of what? That is public ownership of means of production, public ownership of natural resources, public ownership of assets of the country and public ownership of and that is cooperative management of the economy of the state, right? So we'll see what are those aspects, right? See, but before understanding, you need to understand capitalism actually, okay? But before understanding capitalism, you need to have knowledge or you need to have an idea on industrial revolution. So before understanding industrial revolution, say where the Europe have gone through dark phase, which is particularly the societies dominated by the church. There was church had an influence of the social, cultural, economic and political life of each and every individual of Europe. So from that phase led to a Renaissance period, or we can say rebirth of Europe. So rebirth of Europe or Renaissance period we can say Renaissance, or along with Renaissance period we can add scientific revolution as well. So Renaissance and scientific revolution, that is which is the transition phase from the dark ages. So these two led industrial revolution in Europe, especially from 18th century. Okay, so from 18th century industrial revolution started, especially in England, and gradually it spread to other parts of the Europe, that is to France, Italy, Germany and all, right? So but however industrial revolution had a various negative impacts, because industrial revolution led to growth of or rise of capitalism, where capitalism is more ownership, it emphasizes more on, right? So rise to capitalism, and this capitalism resulted in private property, resulted in private ownership of means of production, it resulted in competition, right? So obviously because of means of production and as well as resources, it greatly exploited the proletariat, or we can simply say greatly exploited the working class, right? So to protect the interests of working class, there emerged phase, that is socialism. Okay, so socialism aims at protecting the interests of the working class against the exploitation of bourgeois, right? So that is, it is protecting the interests of working class against bourgeois is the capital class. So particularly to protect the interests of working class, this philosophy, that is public ownership of means of production and resources. Public ownership of means of production and resources, right? So that means there will be no private property, so there will be no competition. So entire natural resources or the assets of the country will be publicly managed. That means we can say public ownership or state ownership, no private entities, right? It promotes fraternity, it promotes equality, right? It promotes equality of opportunity. So these are the various aspects, a result of the emergence of socialism, right? That's why we can say it is anti-private property, it is anti-competition, it emphasizes on fraternity, it emphasizes on cooperative management of economy, it emphasizes on cooperative enterprise. Okay, so these are the various aspects that comes under a broad term called socialism, right? So this is all about socialism. So it is emerged as a result of exploitation of peasant class and as well as working class by the bourgeois class, which is a result of industrial revolution, right? So emerged in the 17th and 18th century, most speak it emerged as a result of French Revolution. So French Revolution, which started in 1789, which is especially emphasized on protecting the rights of working class, right? So French Revolution itself Rousseau's social contract. So Rousseau's philosophy of social contract theory led to emergence of socialism, which helped in French Revolution. So later after French Revolution, obviously the greater push to socialism was given by Karl Marx actually. So the greater socialism was Karl Marx. Of course, even before Karl Marx there were certain socialists, but we can call them as utopian socialism, because this is the utopian socialism is the socialism which emerged in the earlier stages, that is even before Karl Marx, and it was later criticized by Karl Marx because Karl Marx criticized utopian socialism. It is not a scientific socialism. With respect to socialism, we can take Karl Marx as the first and foremost person who proposed a scientific approach to the socialism, a scientific study of socialism, as compared to utopian socialism, which is all about just emphasis on creating utopian communities in the society, and they assumed that this leads to equality in the society. But obviously that did not happen in the 17th century, and that led to personalities like Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, Hegel, right? So these came up with a new form of socialism. So that's why here we can say the Karl Marx of socialism is a new scientific approach of socialism, new scientific way of socialism. That means he scientific methodology by studying the effects of industrial revolution, by studying the effects of and he consolidated them in a sophisticated manner and gave rise to this philosophy, that is socialism, in a scientific manner. That means these aspects of economy has to be read in a scientific way. So that gave rise to this socialism, especially forward by him in his book Communist Manifesto. Okay, so Communist Manifesto, which was written in 1848, gives a detailed information on Karl Marx's approach of socialism, right? So obviously it was the beginning. Down the line it has taken into various forms, because particularly under Lenin it was it led to, or it transformed into Bolshevism. Later it was continued into new form by Stalin as well. Later in the China it was continued as a new form by Mao as well, or we can say extreme form of this can be called as communism, right? So but basically this was the beginning of a rise of which transitioned from utopian socialism to modern socialism, and this modern socialism transitioned towards various other aspects of or subsections of socialism, right? So basically it is nothing but it is a social doctrine that calls for public ownership of means of production and natural resources. Okay, so this is all about social. So please stay tuned for this. We'll discuss interesting topics of history, interesting topics of all aspects of history, particularly for UPSC examination, right? Thank you.